Yo, I'm going to be breaking down an old Lost Sector speedrun. This is 46-second Perdition from Heresy. This one would be from Act 3. Here first we'll go over the history of the record time. Although this one was not didn't end up being first place, I still feel like it deserves a little breakdown just because you know, my first time really being ahead and setting more records in a season on a sector. And I think the fact that these two times here at the end you see 46 and 45 are actually two different classes entirely. So mine is on a Titan, this one's on a Warlock. So I feel like it also deserves because of that, because of two different classes being super, super competitive through the whole thing. So the first one in Heresy, 115, then 12 days later, 57, 22 days after, 53, and a whole month after I set the 53, I beat it by 2 seconds, so 51. 11 days after that, 48. 21 days after that, 47. 7 hours later, 47. A whole month after that, 46. And then 20 hours later, this was like on the last day, uh the last day of the season for Perdition. 45. Shout out Nemesis and his stinky warlock. Anyway, we go over the build here. So T-Crash, this is for killing the boss. Thruster for inmost light. Strafe lift, that doesn't really matter. I just like strafe lift. It's honestly, strafe lift is probably the best option for the stair section. Frenzy Blade, standard. Uh, 3 concentration melee. Also, if you needed to finish off like an overload, this could get it. Glacier Grenade, very important for generating darkness, transcendence energy. Standard knockout concentration. The fragments I really didn't fine tune because they weren't really like dire. So like courage is good, but like your arc solar void abilities, so arc and solar in this would be consecration and uh concentration and T-Crash would deal increased damage to targets afflicted by stasis or strand. This only happened once during the entire run, and it would be when I suspended the barrier. But that's really, I think that damage was not necessarily needed. Or maybe it was needed. Light melee abilities in PvE instead deal an additional 50%. Balance. This was just getting some melee energy. Again, all the regen was being carried by Inmost Light. Protection. This was plus 10 on the melee, really. But I guess not dying, being more resistant while surrounded. Dawn, this was like the most important one. This would help pierce the barrier shield if I needed with Gjallarhorn, and also just make my Gjallarhorn do much more damage. Sacrifice, uh, this was really most of these fragments are are not helpful for uh this Lost Sector run. Well, you have an Arc Solar Void buff, so in this case, amplified. Ability Final Blows grant bonus darkness energy. Well, I had this on there because I was struggling to get darkness transcendence at the start. Well, it didn't matter because it's a single percent. It's 1% per kill. And literally one tick of lost signal on a goblin would do more than that. But really, I don't know what else I could have put there. Awakening, no. Balance, I had that. Blessing, maybe, if I was struggling to stay alive. Bravery, no. I wasn't using strand weapons. Command, I can't do that. Courage, let's see. I tried Justice. Ability kills while transcendent, trigger an explosion. It wasn't doing anything. It wasn't doing anything noticeable. Uh, Ruin? Okay, so Ruin was one that makes sense because ignitions have increased radius and shattering, as you'll be able to tell in the run. But there's a specific area where Ruin was actually not helping me. Uh, that's the that's a subclass. That's a subclass breakdown. Weapon breakdown. We have Lost Signal, specifically for Darkness Transcendence. Indebted Kindness, only for breaking shields to get shield break charge, armor charge, and to clean up like one or two shots on like a wyvern or a goblin if I needed to. And then Gallahorn. This is literally the standard for boss sector running. Like there's no you rarely will ever see anybody not using it. Stats don't matter because this was old stuff. Uh, Helmet, two hands on for super. Nothing else was really needed there. Solar Dex and Loader for Gjallarhorn, and Shield Break Charge on there. Very, very important for breaking the arc shields to get my armor charge. Uh, Ammo Gen. Oh, these were reserve mods. So these reserve mods for Gjallarhorn. That's all. To get extra shots. Charged up on the chest to get more charge of light if I wanted to stack up more. Solar Weapon Surge, obviously for the Gjallarhorn. Outreach for the class item. Uh, Really, it just to get a little bit of melee energy. Again, Inmost was doing most of the lifting. Time dilation. Two of those. Get a sip before we go to the artifact. Now, artifact for this season, I have it over here. The only one that I remember using would have been Limit Break. So Limit Break on Supercast, so while at critical health or affected by element matching buff, so my T-Crash, while amplified, would deal 30% increased damage. However, my T-Crash was killing the boss anyway, so that was not needed. However, it was like the only one that was being used that like could have had an impact. None of these other ones, I believe. did anything towards the run. Yeah. So that's the loadout. The artifact. Anything else that was there? I don't think so. I don't think I would have been able to use any of the other ones. Onto the run. So we start off by breaking 2 harpy shields to get 2 armor charges for my Galahorn. I shoot this pillar specifically in this spot so that that harpy that spawns there has enough time to spawn while my wolf pack rounds are still out. Because if you shoot the ground, it's going to explode and kill those 2. And the wolf pack rounds are going to explode far enough away that it's not going to track. So I shoot that pillar whilst I'm going up and spawning that harpy. Now, I don't remember if the harpy spawns when I hit a certain area, or if I kill a certain amount of enemies, or if I'm actively killing those enemies. I don't know, but I shoot it so that it delays long enough. See, there's 3 harpies that died there. Delay it long enough so that it kills all those with 1. Then this last harpy that spawns behind me, I use that to get another armor charge. Replay that part again. 2 shield breaks, Galahorn, to kill the 3 harpies, shield break. Now, at first, when I wasn't high enough level, I had to use the Arcglaive Albedo Wing to break the shields and kill them in one shot because my Indebted at a certain light level wasn't killing them. So I had to use a glaive at the start. It's probably in some of my earlier runs, but actually we can look. We can look. Because I didn't think of this, but now I am good. I am. Let's see. No, that's sidearm. Oh, here we go. So this is with the older strat. I had to use Albedo Wing to get armor charge. You see, oh, there we go. Here's a better example of the other goblin, the harpy spawning. You see, he just spawned in right there. We won't go over this one, but that's just an example of Albedo Wing. We get to our first hiccup in the runs, and this is the darkness transcendence energy buildup. This one was super inconsistent for a long majority of the time. And even at towards the end when I thought I figured it out, sometimes it just wouldn't work. But you need this part here solely for generating your darkness transcendence. So I would throw a glacier grenade under or at like just in front of or under the Hydra and freeze those enemies and shatter them and then spam my lost signal around to generate my darkness, then shoot a Galahorn to kill all the enemies behind me. Now, that Minotaur on the left here, that's honestly a weird spot for him to spawn. I like when he spawns in the group, but my Gjallarhorn still managed to come back and kill him. So I'll take that as a win. So go back and watch that again. Glacier Grenade, lost signal, and then my meter is full. Now, time for the worst part of the whole. Well, no, no, I won't say the worst part. The second hiccup in all of the runs was the first overload. This overload has probably one, two, three, five, six different spawns in this spot. If he spawns on the left here, dead run. He spawns here, far enough away, probably a dead run. Spawns over there, all right. Spawns there, that's probably the best spot. Spawns here, completely dead run. Because if he spawns too far away, he's gonna do a teleport. And it's hard to time that slam. It's hard to time that slam when he teleports so that you can kill him with one melee. You see there, it didn't kill everything. Now, my first 100, 200 runs, this consecration was killing all of this in one consecration. I'll show you here. See, he spawned just slightly over to the left. My one consecration managed to kill all of them. That's what you're looking for. Now this one, I didn't get that lucky. See, did the same amount of damage, but I got unlucky with an ignition, so I just had to punch him. Slight time loss. However, you just take what you can get. You just ignore this guy. Now here's a little bit of movement tech. You use this staircase jump to reload your Gjallarhorn and pop your Transcendence. That way you're not running and slowing yourself down by reloading or doing the fists with the Transcendence. Use that whole entire lift to scale the stairs and do those two animations. See how I kept moving? I kept moving while I was reloading and while I popped Transcendence. Again, another thing that was consistent at the start, but over time, over the season, for some reason, it got super inconsistent, was killing this overload. You see how it was inconsistent because the goblins could spawn literally pixels to the side and it wouldn't kill. That one didn't kill. And I had to use a Frenzy Blade to finish it off. Let's see with this one. This one did kill, which was a lot nicer, but having to use a Frenzy Blade wasn't too bad. Now, we're coming up on the reason for not Ruin. Oh, speaking of Ruin, go back and look. This is where Ruin was actually hurting the runs. It was causing the shatter was causing the enemies to explode and go too far away from my Gjallarhorn. That's all it was doing. That's all it was doing. It was just causing the explosion just to like push enemies too far away. Now, get a drink again. We come up on the part where Facet of Dawn is huge. For that, I use my uh, Frenzy Blade to get Radiant so that I have anti-barrier rounds on my Gjallarhorn. Mainly, I use it for Radiant for the damage boost to kill the Hobgoblin, but if the Hobgoblin does a fast pop, my Wolfpack rounds or my second shot from my Gjallarhorn will pierce the shield and it'll still kill it. But it's mainly for the extra damage. So, as you can see, I killed that champion with 2 Gjallarhorn shots. Now, you see that I threw this Transcendence grenade up there. You see the barrier. He's kind of chilling behind the wall there. There's also a shielded Minotaur that spawns up there. I throw this up there so that neither of them can teleport down to me. Because if the Hobgoblin teleports down, dead run. If the shielded Minotaur teleports down, your Gjallarhorn might get him, but you're kind of hoping. You're just praying at that point. As you can see, I reload my Gjallarhorn. I always try to do reloads when I'm jumping. That way I'm not wasting time on the ground. So I reload here. See, here's the Minotaur. I would have liked him to get suspended, but here's the Hobgoblin that I suspended. Here's where that facet of courage comes in. I can't tell if it did more. It did, yeah. So it did 173,000 to that barrier. But 157 would have still killed it anyway. But that's that's a guaranteed kill. I started killing this left barrier first because if you go up to the left, this guy, if he spawns too close to here, he'll just teleport down. That's a dead run. So I kill these guys quickly. I turn around and launch one Gjallarhorn at all the ads behind me. This is just to kill ads, the group of ads that spawns behind me. And you need to kill enough ads to open the door, obviously. I use my second Gjallarhorn. Luck Luckily, this first Consecration Slam, you can see the Wyvern way in the back there, and the Goblins that spawn. These Wyverns have like 100 different spawns back here. It's absurd. They can spawn so many different ways. You can't even begin to plan a strategy. I did like 700 clears of this. And not maybe a handful of times. Legitimately, a handful of times I saw a similar spawn. You can't set up correctly to get a perfect. You just can't set it up back there. So you're just praying that they spawn. This one, I got so lucky. This Consecration kills this Minotaur, the Barrier Hobgoblin, all the goblins that spawned with this Wyvern, and it kills the Wyvern back there this long consecration. You can see Wyvern. I use, and luckily I get a Wyvern that spawns in the far back on the left. That way I can shoot him with a perfect view through between this pillar and the wall. Now, if he spawned any closer, he's going to teleport down here. This Wyvern, if you spend too much time over here, he's going to path this way and teleport down there. Dead run. Luckily, he spawns right there. I fire one Gallahorn. And I manage to kill the Wyvern and the Goblin. The Goblins. I pull out the sidearm to finish them off because I've had sometimes where they don't get one shot. But luckily I one shot them there. Now, the boss room is pretty straightforward. I developed this tech after a while. Get another drink. You pop your T-Crash as the boss spawn animation is already going. You pop it this far away. You fly around the boss to hit him in the back, and you use the little launch from the T-Crash to launch yourself back towards chest. Because if you just T-Crashed him head on, it would bounce you back the way that you came. It would bounce you back this way. So now this boss has about 3-4 different spawns. He can spawn like where he spawned right now. He can spawn there. He can spawn right here on the other side of the box, which is where I want him to spawn. He can spawn more to the right here, I believe. It's more to the right. And he also spawn to the left. I position the T-Crash and time it to him, and banking on him spawning on the other side of this crate, on the other side of this box. That way, when I'm right here, he's right here, my T-Crash puts me on the other side of this box, and I need one Frenzy Blade. And it lands me pixel perfect right on top of the chest to interact. Now, this one, I didn't get that lucky, so I lost a little bit. See, I landed a little bit in front of it. I landed a little bit in front of it. I had to do some running. But that probably lost me like half a second. And that's the run. We can watch that last section over again. Now, if he spawns to the right here, I need 2 friends. All right, we're back. I'm not sure why my headset turned off. You need 2 Frenzy Blades to make it to the chest. And it'll land me pixel perfect, but really, like, if it spawned there, it was probably not a good run because uh, that just takes a little. Unless I had godlike RNG before that, realistically, it spawning that far to the right would have just been time loss enough to where it would have ruined the run. So yeah, that's the 46-second Perdition expert lost sector speedrun on a Titan during Heresy Act 3. Uh, I don't think I'll do another one of these unless people ask for it, which I doubt it. But that's just because I think this one was just special, like the reasons I mentioned before. Uh, it was like one of the times where I think a rare case where the the top times were so super close, but on different classes, because mostly it's just dominated by like a warlock or dominated by a titan. But these ones were super close and competitive on two different classes entirely. And also, it was like the only time where like, or the only sector where like I was genuinely like always improving at the top in first place for a while. I really have never been like the best at a sector, really. I mean, I could like go over. I mean, these Bay of Drowned Wishes ones are all right. As me and Shekel going back and forth. Uh, Quarry. I could go over the legendary one in a trillion Lost Sector run, but other than that, I've really not been like the best at a specific sector. And that was my first one. Like, let's see. Yeah, that's all.